Also, I always hear people talk about Donald Trump in an interview that these things are sometimes hard to follow, or he's bouncing all over the place like a pinball machine. That might be his brain, but also because he is a bit of a grudge holder, he wants to remember every fight, win every fight, remember every slight, set the record straight. And because much of the psychological warfare that he went through as a candidate and a president meant that there was 6 things a day that may be true, most likely were not true, were definitely misinterpretations, that he wants to say it all. Do you think that that makes him a different proposition in 2024 than he was in 2016? Because in 2016 it seems that, build the wall, build the wall, build the wall, build the wall. Message discipline means that you're eventually able to reach people. But when you're trying to sort of say 100 different things in relation to any one question, that you do yourself a bit of a disservice?
It's a good point. He doesn't have the message discipline now that he did the first time around. He's getting off of the election, quote, denialism, however you want to refer to it, a little bit more. So that's good. You could see him try to exercise some discipline in the interview where he would veer toward, grievances about Pennsylvania. And then you could see him correct. He clearly has been told many times and is listening now to people don't want to hear about that anymore. They don't want, so that's good. But now he's got to fill it. He's got to fill it with a message that does work. His message overall yesterday or today, whatever it was pessimistic in a way that I think will resonate with frustrated GOP voters, that he actually said, I don't think the country survives if I don't win this next election. It was dark, but I think he's not the only one who feels that way. And, if you zoom out and look at the weaponization of the DOJ and the FBI and the crazy overreach by our public health agencies and the White House trying to censor speech contrary to the First Amendment and the Bill of Rights at every turn, just to name a few, men trying to claim they're women and come into our spaces, and we have the president of the United States backing that up. And so it feels dystopian. So Trump is actually a very good messenger for that angst a lot of us are feeling of like, what the hell happened to our country? However, you can't go out there every speech and every interview and just be dark, 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 dark. You've got to have that Reagan-esque touch of here's where I can take it. And Trump was doing a bit of that too. And he's got a whole first term he can point to remind you of what America looks and feels like when he's in the Oval.
Yeah, I think it's a problem that Republicans certainly miscalculated, say, going into the midterms, which is define the problem, define the problem, define the problem. But at some point you have to offer yourself as the solution. And something that's really interesting about how, say, the 2020 election went, the 22, and now we're getting ready for 24, is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of conversation about, if you vote for me, here is how your life changes. Instead, it's all about the overall for the country. Do you think that it's important that when you are the challenger, even if you're the one who's trying to return to the office, that you actually have to talk about, this is what will change for you if you vote for me?
One of the things I noticed in talking to him yesterday is Trump likes to jump on board defining the problem. He hears your question and he's like, yes, that is an issue. And then he wants to talk about why it's such an issue. But he doesn't then spin to, and here's my solution to it. And I think the reason people aren't holding that against him is because they trust him. They're like, he's a deal maker. Once he gets in there, he's going to get advised by people who know how to solve these problems. And I trust in Trump to listen to the right people and make the right decisions. You look at what he did at the border when it was so much better than it is right now. The Remain in Mexico stuff, the ban on for COVID people coming across the border, Title 42. So many, he stopped catch and release. The deportations went up. He just did so much to secure the border. It wasn't perfect, but he did way more than the previous presidents. So all he really ran on was build the wall. He didn't run on any of that other stuff I just listed, but people advised him and he listened to them. So I think that's why Trump gets away with it. Because if you contrast that with, Ron DeSantis, he's all about the solutions. He won't spend very much time on the problem. He's like, I get it. Here's the problem in one line. Here's exactly what I'm going to do about it. And he's more of a technocrat. And for somebody like me, who's a lawyer and a logical thinker, I like that. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Let's get to that phase of the conversation. But I think a lot of people just have they get mocked for it, but in Trump we trust. and they're willing to put him back into the red throne because they trust him and him alone to fix it.